Okay, guys, so this is going to be a little bit long, but hang in there with me because it's pretty darn cool what this will actually do for you if you can get these functions put in correctly. All right, so I'm going to do the same ones we did in our written. So it's f of x equals 2x plus 8 was one of those, and that is our linear equation, and that's the full linear equation, but because it's piecewise, we're going to use our squiggles. Do not use parentheses. This key is the button above enter, third key from the far right to get it started. If you use parentheses, it will not work. So X, and then down here in the bottom, there's a keyboard that has your inequalities that we're going to need to use. So less than or equal to -2. And then if you close it, as you see, it cuts our graph off at that -2. Now it does not actually draw a closed or open circle, but if I click on -2, should give me a coordinate. Normally it does. Uh-oh. I don't know what that did. Sorry. Right here. So if I click right here, I see -2. The output would be 4. So at -2, I do get a 4. And then for our second function in the f of x set, now for this notation, I'm going to call it g of x, but we know on our worksheet that we just worked, it is still f of x. I'm calling it g of x so I can show you how to do other things with this program as well. Like basically answer every question they could possibly ask. And it's from -2 is less than x, which is less than or equal to, so we have to use it down here, a +3 and then close. So again, it was a parabola and now it became a parabola cut off at -2 and then cuts off at 3. If I back out, you can see it. So right there at 3, it also cuts out. Now at -2, that is not an equal to, so that's an open circle. So if I go to this -2 spot and I hold it down, it says undefined. And you can see that open circle there when I hold it down. But as I slide down, you can see that it is that those places do exist, but that open circle is why I get an undefined answer on the outside. And then over here at 3, it has an equal to in our range that we set up. When I click 3, my output will be 6. So we know that that would be a closed circle, and hopefully you saw the big dot that turns a solid green dot as well. So again, the third f of x function from our worksheet, we're just going to call it, I'm going to call it h of x, just to, again, differentiate between the functions within this program. So sort of speaking its language versus speaking our language. So you do have to differentiate and kind of keep up with that portion of it. But otherwise, it will do absolutely every other thing you need it to do for you. So now I have my radical. It is going to have a domain of x is greater than 3. That is not greater than. X is greater than 3. And then close. And so again, this is usually a little humpier, but that +3 makes it a little less because it's only a portion from 3 on. So as this came down, it should have been, remember, all the way over here. It was all the way over here. So this is where the big bump would have been for you to see it and make it not look linear, because right now it looks kind of linear, but it is not linear. Okay, so we have our 3 functions. And again, at this point, I could come over here and decide at 5. Well, that one's ugly. Let's try at 6. So at 6, my output is 3. So when f of, well, in this case, h of 6, it will equal 3. If I wanted to do f of -5, so when x is -5, and that's not quite -5, come on, -5, there it was -2. The output was -2. So you can trace around on your graph and find these answers. Now, because these are differential, I can come down here and like we just traced around, but that one I couldn't get was f of -5, I believe. So if I do f of -5 and I hit enter, I see it's -2 down here in the right-hand corner. And the f of -5, like we did, was indeed -2. Now here's the real kicker. So if I did 2, and let's see if I can pick one that I can make up in my head. 2h, I'll do the one that's on the paper. 2 f of 4 minus g of, and that 4 won't work, sorry for this function. Let's do f of -4 minus, we'll use g function, which is the parabola of 1. And then we'll make it real crazy and do plus 1/2. And we'll do h, which will be our purple function. We'll give it a value of, actually I don't think that parentheses has to be there. Let's do h, parentheses, And let's try 6, which we did already, graphing it on the graph. And then, so that whole equation, just as you would see it, you have it's equal to 3.5. The only reason this might turn into a problem, but shouldn't, because you could also turn it into a fraction if you have a calculator. So math frac, or 3.5. Hopefully you have answer choices that are multiple choice if they're fraction like, and then you can type those in and turn them into decimals, however you want to do it. So again, you could, at this point, once you have them in correctly, you can make it do it algebraically for you, or you could even look at your graph and go find your answers. All right, I don't think there's a better cheat in the entire world, and you do have access to this calculator for your quiz and on your EOC. So make sure you note how you're putting this in. Again, these were the 3 functions that were all f of x on our worksheet in the previous video, but you differentiate so that way when I put it in this way, it will differentiate between those 3 functions. So if you happen to have, like the second example on our worksheet where we do have an f of x with 2 functions, g of x with 3 functions, and things like that, it won't be quite as easy to use this method, but it is definitely a solid plan. And you can get the graph. So if I get rid of these, they'll give you errors right now if all of these are f of x. But as far as just graphing it in general and trying to match an equation to a graph, your f of x all the way down works famously. It just won't work to do any of the solving or to get a table or anything of that nature from it. You can get tables here too. So if I change this one back to g of x, h of x, and you hit your toggle or your gear here, it opens up all these. So I now have a table for f of x, and we know it's undefined after -4. After -2, because at that point that domain's cut off. So if you wanted to start typing in the next number, so like we did -5 before, it gives you -2. If you have an ugly one like a -7, it gives you -6. That one's not even that ugly. So if we did -6, which should give you a decimal, it doesn't. It's beautiful. Never mind, they're all working. But either way, you can type it in to find out here if this is more comfortable or easier for you. And then if you need to do the others, again, just go back to your gear. It gives you the option to click table, and it will break down a table for you. And then this one shows undefined at -2 because it did have that open circle there. But then our green parabola function coordinates are below. All right, guys, I hope you watch this. I hope this will help you. Have a great